What's going on, guys? Mini Call here coming at you with another video. This one is going to be in regards to blitzing, and I've kind of just, really no excuse. I'm normally a very lazy blitzer, and prior to Sim Blitz, I would just kind of pick a target, and I would then press auto and just kind of let the game do its thing. And then even when Sim Blitz came out, I would just kind of just really quickly kind of go through and just kind of auto. Not really giving it too much thought on the matchups or even any strategies behind anything. And I don't know what made me kind of really reevaluate my blitzing strategy with this current Iceman Blitz. I might have had to do something with the fact that I had like 10,000 of the Blitz credits or the Blitz charges that are right up here. And that was just through a course of the day of spending the Power Core offer to get the bonus campaign energy. And then also I think it was like an extra 150 Blitz charges or something like that. But anyway, so I had these, 1,000 Blitz credits, and I was like, all right, let's go in, let's do this smarter, kind of take this with a more logical approach and a little bit more calculated. And so I wanted to kind of share, what I've been doing. This strategy can be done at basically all power levels. It certainly becomes a lot more effective as you do have the larger roster. But anyway, kind of enough of the backstory, I guess. So kind of go into it. What I have been working on, and with this Blitz in particular, is my goal is to get to tier 8, which is the highest tier in the Blitz rewards as far as the multipliers. And once you're at tier 8, what you want to do then is use your bigger teams and get those max points. And then there's a couple ways to go about this. So what I did is on my first round of my Blitz, I actually started from the back of my roster. And again, I'm still picking, I'm trying to pick smart teams, and, I'm not trying to pick losing fights, but basically got myself built up. And when I did get to tier 8, I then switched over to my highest teams, and then I'm just kind of like soaking in the points. So I am at tier 8. So kind of a couple other things you want to consider is, at this point I have no charges into tier 8. So it kind of goes like 8, 8.1, 2, 3, and then 4. If you are at 8.1 through 8.4 and you lose a fight, you drop down to just the solid 8. And then if you lose another match, you drop down to 7. So you don't want to be dropping in between tiers if you can help it. So there's kind of a way to go about this, and it almost sounds like a, I don't know, it almost sounds hypocritical, I guess, maybe. But in order to not drop down a tier, sometimes it's actually better to not do a Blitz flight. And I guess that's where it kind of sounds a little hypocritical, is I'm saying to score better, sometimes you might not want to do a fight. And kind of what I mean by this, people in the United States, kind of very similar to like the SATs, for example. And, if you don't know the answer to something and they say to just skip it and it doesn't count against you, kind of a similar strategy with Blitz. So I'm going to go into this and just kind of show you a little bit what I'm talking about. So I've been keeping myself around the tier 8. So right now, if I was to lose a fight, I would drop down to 7. I don't want to do that. And especially now that I am at tier 8, I am going to start at the front of my roster. So I'm basically going from the big end down to the little end. If I was at tier 7 or anything below 8, I would start at the lower end of my roster. And then when I got to tier 8, I would then switch back over to the larger side of my roster. So what I want to do is I want to look here for symbiote teams. or for teams rather, that my symbiotes, I am like 100% sure they're going to win. And when I look here, I don't see any teams that I am 100% sure I'm going to win. And I don't want to drop down to tier 7. So what I'm going to do is, believe it or not, if you actually switch to your next team, if the power levels are different, you will see different teams. So because my Pimtech is so close to my symbiotes, I see the same teams. So I am going to go to my next team over here. It's a significant drop in power. And you'll notice here, I've got a totally different set of enemies. And, when I'm looking here, some of these teams, they look kind of scary. Other ones, not so much. Like the Inhumans, I'm not too sure I could win that, especially when it's almost 100k punch up. Defenders, pretty easy, not too worried about it. This one right here, even though it is almost 100k punch up, there's a Yondu here, and Yondu, I don't care if he's 100k, he could be 300k. Yondu is Yondu. He is not a good character. He has been so power crept. So I still want to score the most that I can, and I am like 99% sure that I'm going to win this fight. So this is actually going to be the one I'm going to choose. So we're going to go in and sim. Boom, we got a victory. And that has now bumped us up to 8.1. So we do have a little bit more now of a leeway where if I'm like, 80% sure of a fight, I will try it just because it's not going to drop me back down. But now that I've completed that match, I can actually go back over to my first team and I will see a different selection of characters. Again, kind of the same thing applies where you have to kind of know the team you're using and what they're weak against and what they're strong against. So when I'm looking here, the biggest problem symbiotes has is they don't like being debuffed, and Doctor Strange can be a little tricky with that. Black Order, it is not always a guaranteed win. And then I've got this kind of hodgepodge, team here. I'm going to go ahead and give this one a shot. And boom, we've got another victory. So with my symbiotes, I do have some blitz charges. They are my highest powered team, so they are going to score me the most points. So when you're looking here too, if there is another team that you can fight that's going to give you a little bit more points, and you're still sure it's going to win. So like Asgardians, I know they can handle that perfectly fine, but just another hodgepodge team, and I'm getting almost an extra 2,000 points. So I'm going to go ahead, sim that also. We've got another victory going in. So now we're looking here, we've got Brotherhood 2.0. That is a hard counter for my symbiotes. I don't want to do that. We'll look through. I don't like any of those matchups. So I know those matchups are going to be the same for Pimtech, and Pimtech is not going to do any good against any of those either. So I'm going to switch to my next set of teams. And Black Order is, very unique where they can pretty much take any team and they are going to win. So I always do use my blitz charges on my Black Order, just because it's like almost a guaranteed win. We'll go in, we'll get another 80k right there. Let's see. That Phoenix Ultron combo makes me a little nervous, but we do have, plenty of wiggle room, so let's give it a whirl. Boom, Black Order comes through again. Let's see. Again, we've got a nice little 80k. We'll do that real fast. Black Order is done with their charges. And now let's go ahead and we'll peek back at the symbiotes and see what they've got showing. So let's see. We've got two 90k teams. This is definitely the easier looking of the two. So let's go ahead and give that a whirl also. Let's see how they do. All right, boom, we got another victory. So this is kind of what I'm talking about. It may be a little bit more time consuming, kind of like bouncing back and forth between teams. But seeing point-wise, kind of what I'm managing, I think it definitely is worth a little bit of the extra effort. So boom, we'll try that one also. All right, so my symbiotes are now officially done with their charges. I am out of blitz charges for the day, so now I'll just kind of finish off my normal rotation. Pintech can be a little funny with who they're able to, kind of fight in blitz. I'm still kind of trying to work out the logic with that. I know who they can kind of handle in the in war, but they're still a little funny in the blitz mode. So we're going to do this fight. Like I said, if we do happen to lose it, it's not so bad. We have already built ourselves up to 8.3. So if we lose this, we will drop down to 8, but we will still be in tier 8. So let's go ahead and sim this also. We are on a good roll today. Next set of characters on the list is my X-Men with Phoenix. So again, you're just kind of looking through and seeing what you got. Let's see. I'm thinking it's a little bit less points, but let's go ahead and go for this one. That should be a good win for us also. Going on in, next set of teams, we've got the Marauders, and while they are a phenomenal war defense team, for whatever reason, they do not seem to do very well in Blitz, which is just kind of crazy. They actually will lose 10 out of 10 times to the defenders, which is just like mind-boggling because that would never happen in a war. So let's see what we've got. This is kind of a very unsynergized team. So is this one. Let's go ahead and we'll give this one a whirl. See what happens. Boom, got another victory. We're doing good there. Next on up is Inhumans. So Inhumans, let's see, they can't take the Black Order, and we're going to go for that 74k team. So kind of my my more top-heavy teams, for the most part, they are like, I don't want to say guaranteed to win, but they do pretty well. So a lot of the times these are just kind of like easy victories. Again, here's another kind of like made-up team that they should be able to steamroll through. When I start getting to, I think it's around 10 or 15 team-wise, that's when things get a little bit more questionable, and I've got to be a little bit more calculated. This kind of leftover Dadbro, Ultron, Sinister Six kind of hybrid thing I got going on, they normally do pretty well for themselves also. I'm going to avoid this team here, just because, we've got Wave 1 Avengers right here, crazy synergy, Captain Marvel, Minerva, crazy synergy as well, and just very good characters. So I think for me, the safe bet is going to be this unsynergized team here. And boom, we've got another victory. Next on up, we've got our power armor. So they actually counter the defenders really well in war. And I want to say they do the same thing in blitz. So let's go ahead and give that a whirl. Boom, we're doing good still. Next on up is kind of my leftover defenders. And let's see. I don't really like any of these matchups. So what I'm going to do is actually go to my next set of teams, see if I get some different selection. It's actually the same because they're very close. So now I will go to the next team. So we've got our Sinister Six. And let's give this kind of Young Avengers thing a whirl. Not too sure about this one. We'll see. All right, we're doing pretty good. So now I'm going to go back to my defenders, and let's see what we've got now. So weirdly, they counter pretty well when it's the flip. Let's see how it goes when I'm using defenders. All right, so we've got a loss. It was bound to happen. It's always funny how, if I use Marauders against defenders, I lose, but if I use defenders against the Marauders, I lose. Not too sure of the logic behind that, but so when you are going to do those more kind of chance fights, make sure you do have at least a couple tiers. That way you only drop down to that same tier level. So now with my next fight, I want to make sure it's going to be a win because I don't want to drop down to tier 7. So I didn't like the matchups with my Baron Zemo team. So X-Force is looking like they've got the same characters showing. So we will try our Merc team. Again, same team, or same kind of power level, so seeing similar characters. We now have our Kree hybrid, and this is kind of a trash team, no synergy anywhere on this team, so this should be pretty good. Boom, we've got a victory. We're now back up to 8.1. So we will cycle back to our Baron Zemo Hydra, see what we got going. Let's go ahead and give this one a whirl, see what happens. Okay, we've got another victory. Move on over to the next team. So this is kind of, I guess, what I'm getting at is this bouncing back and forth. While it is, I guess, initially a little bit time consuming, I think overall it certainly has a lot more benefits as far as what you're scoring in points. Let's see. This is pretty unsynergized. I think we should be able to win this also. Okay, so, and kind of an important thing is once you win a fight, it recycles your enemies. So once you win a fight, you can kind of go back, see if you have a better matchup. A team of Ravengers is absolute trash. Boom, we should have no issues with that. Let's keep on going. Next up, we've got the Astonishing X-Men. I have yet to actually see a team that they are losing against in my Blitz. I'm not, pushing anything too crazy, but let's go ahead and get rid of this unsynergized garbage. Boom. I mean, that was almost a 200k punch-up. So kind of, things you're looking for, certainly unsynergized teams, hard counters, obviously, and then any teams that have just really power creep characters or like trash characters that are just like no good in the game. Those are certainly targets to choose. So like here we've got Yondu and Elektra, both terrible characters. And we've got Mordo, Iron Fist, Thor. There's like zero synergy with this team. My Guardians should be able to do this. There is a big power difference, but let's see. So, and that's kind of, part of the strategy, choosing teams that you can beat. And it's not necessarily about just clicking through and getting all those blitz fights in. So like my Wakandans right here, I don't see anything that they can go to. So we'll go to our next team. We're looking at our Young Avengers. Again, it's the kind of same stuff showing. It's probably going to be the same for that because the power is close. Same for them as well. Same for them. And all right, there we go. So we are down now to our Supernatural. Let's see what we got. And I don't like any of those either. Not looking good. So we will go to our next set of my own Ravager trash. Hand garbage, which, they're probably not going to be able to do much. These teams I use more when I'm trying to build myself up to tier 8, and I end up not using them as much in the lower tiers. Yeah, so I'm not seeing much that I'm liking. We'll go ahead and try this and see what happens. This one can be a little sketch, but like I said, again, I've got a little bit of the extra tiers, so I should be able to manage. All right, so we have a loss. So now what we're going to look at is we will go back to our last character. So we did do a match. And let's see if we have any kind of good fights in here that I am like sure we can win. Let's see. So this one, we've got a big Yondu, but again, Yondu being big doesn't really matter too much for us, because again, he is not a good character. We've got a baby Captain Marvel, so I think we should be able to win this. Let's see. Boom, so we've got a victory. Our blitz streak is continuing. Let's see, what else do we got? That is a big Cull, but Cull is not as good without his teammates, and the rest of this is pretty much unsynergized, so let's see, this should be a win also. Boom, we're good with that. We are now on our modified Wave 1. Let's see what we've got here. That Captain Marvel kind of scares me a little bit. 108k Captain Marvel is pretty big. Let's see what else we've got option-wise. Let's see, Supernatural. Again, they've got a Yondu. Let's give it a whirl. Boom, we've got another victory, so we will track on back to my wave 1. Again, see what we've got kind of going on. The dad bros together are pretty killer. So if you're looking at 2 big dad bros, it really doesn't matter what the other characters are. Chances are it's probably not going to go very well. Let's try this. This is kind of unsynergized. Boom, we've got another victory. Hand team, this should be a no-brainer. What else do we got? So I guess, kind of what I'm getting at, you definitely, this kind of like leapfrogging that I'm doing, certainly, has potential. These are probably nothing that I'm going to like. Let's see. Now that's a big symbiote Spider-Man. We don't want that. Let's see, anyone for AIM to go on against? So I'm thinking AIM for this team. Symbiotes do very poorly against when they get debuffed and they don't have a way to cleanse. There's no anti-venom here, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so that was a defeat. And that happens, that's okay. You only want to take those risks when you do have those charges. So let's now go back to our last full team. So we've got the Skilletary here. Not really seeing anything that I am willing to chance. So we will go to the next one. Again, same characters. Go back over to hand. Again, nothing I'm willing to chance. Going over Kree, kind of the same thing. And lastly, we've got our Hydra team. And they are looking at all the same targets. So at this point, I am going to actually wrap up this blitz rotation. And, you'll notice here that I didn't use, let's see, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that I actually didn't use in this rotation. And, you might be saying, like, give it a try. Like, you'll never know what could happen. But the problem is so if I do these fights and I drop down to tier 7, it's going to take me 4 fights on my next blitz rotation to get myself back up to tier 8. And I lose that 4 times multiplier. And I don't want to do that. If I can stay at the 4 times multiplier for the remainder of the blitz, again, very simple math. It increases my blitz rewards by 4 times for every fight. So kind of very SAT style. I don't know the answer to how these fights are going to go, so I'm going to skip it because I don't want to be penalized for taking a chance. The only time you're going to want to take that chance is when you are at 8.1, 8.2, 8.3. And, it does take a few extra minutes. I obviously would have done this a lot faster if I wasn't recording, but don't be afraid to kind of leapfrog through your roster and, go down a little bit in your roster, do a fight, and then possibly go back 5 slots. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, it takes a little bit longer, but if it's a character you're really looking to blitz hard on, this is certainly the way to do it. Other things I've been doing, it certainly depends on your own personal life and what you've got going on, but I've also been setting myself, 2-hour reminders when I finish a rotation. I set a reminder for 2 hours. When it goes off, I'll blitz again. Hopefully you found this little strategy guide on blitzing very helpful. If you did, please like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell for notifications when I do upload future content. And look forward to making additional Marvel Strike Force content. As always, thank you so much for watching and have a good one.